Hi guys, welcome back to Hunger Handbook. I am so happy to have y'all back. I'm so happy to bring y'all some more information. We got more questions, y'all. We got more questions. It's so exciting. We got more questions. So, you ready? Hi guys, welcome to. I'm so ready for this. I'm so ready for this cover. Vanna White down here somewhere, where you guys can like, share. The next question that I received the most of, that's normally what I base it off of. People ask me questions and then I kind of just go to the next thing based off their question. So, the next question, are you ready? How do you know you're ready to own a home? How did I know I was ready to purchase a home? And what did I kind of do to prepare myself for that process? Okay, that's the question. We're going to answer it right now. Okay, so number one reason, so let me start off at the beginning. I moved out, I moved into my own apartment. I had an apartment first, kind of did what people do, they live in apartments. And I was like, there needs to be more than this, there needs to be more. So first thing that I noticed about an apartment, it's, let me start over. Let me go all the way back. Okay. Came to my apartment one day. Mind you, I was just out of college. I was working at a place that I didn't really want to work at, wasn't really in my field. And it was just me and my daughter, and got an apartment. So I'm like, okay, look at me adulting. Look at me adulting. And one day I came home and on my front door, there was a note. No, it was not an eviction note, okay? It was a note saying that our apartment complex was under new management and that at the end of my lease, my rent would be raised. So I was like, ooh, what? My rent? I'm barely making it as is. And now you want to tell me that you're going to raise it. Okay, so that was step number one. It was cheaper than my rent. My mortgage, I found out, I started doing a little research. I found out that my mortgage, or the mortgage that I would qualify for, was actually cheaper than what my rent was at the time. So that was obvious. That was an obvious choice. Now, what I will say is a little disclaimer, that is not necessarily true anymore all the time with every property that you get, okay? Things have definitely gone up from when I first purchased my first house. So it's not necessarily the same. I will say it'll probably balance out. So what you're paying for your rent, or what your rent is going to go up to, that's probably the amount of house that you'll get. And that's probably what your mortgage payment will be. But it's still an apartment and a mortgage. Like your house, something that you own versus something that someone else owns that you're paying for. It's still a no-brainer, regardless to if the price is less or more. And you are fortunate enough where you can find one that's less, then rock out with that one too, okay? So that was number one. That was the first thing that helped me realize it. Number two, which I'm going to slide past really quickly because it was what our last episode was about, which is equity, right? The equity was a no-brainer. Going back to what I just said, if someone else owns it, they're getting all the benefits of owning it because they get the equity. You're just paying, and then they increase yours, which they still get equity for. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's you're not gaining anything. You're not gaining. You're just losing. You're just losing money. So that equity point, go watch episode number 2 if you want more information about that. We're going to slide on to number 3, okay? Number 3, stability. I wanted stability. I didn't even like the fact that not landlord, but the apartment complex, that they could even send me a letter and say, hey, we're going to raise your rent to this, or you're going to have to move. And it was like, okay, so where am I supposed to go? Now I have to get all my stuff up, which moving is a lot in its own. Now I have to get all my stuff up, and I have to find somewhere else to go. Or I'm probably going to have to get another job to pay for what I'm already staying. Like, I don't get anything extra. Y'all aren't doing trash valet. Y'all aren't throwing in a bigger pool. Like, there are no benefits to me paying more. It's just me paying more because you guys decided to charge me more. And to me, I was not going for that. I was not going for that. So that was a solid, like, push in the direction of home ownership. Like, I have got to get out of here. I can't afford to keep moving every year to find somewhere else to stay, but I can't afford to keep paying them more and more either. Like, that was not it. So that was number 3 of how I knew I was ready to own a house. Number 4, I wanted my own space for a number of reasons. A house will be bigger than an apartment any day of the week. Let's just state the obvious, right? But 2, privacy was super important to me. Like, let's say I come home late one night, I went out with my friends or something, I came home late at night, I didn't have a parking space. I had to search. I had to drive around a lot of times to find a parking space, and it was 5 miles away. At my own house, I don't have to worry about that, right? Let's say I have some people over, we get a little loud, maybe there's some music playing, your neighbor is banging on your wall, banging on the ceiling. That's not it. That is so not it. Like, I should be comfortable in my own space. I don't have to share walls with anybody else. Apartment walls, they're fitting as many people as they can in one confined space. Even in the townhouse, it's less there. So the walls tend to be a little thicker versus an apartment where they're paper thin and your neighbor can listen to the movie that you're watching. Like, I needed my privacy. I needed more space. I needed me and my daughter to have our space, not be piled on top of each other. I felt like I deserved more, and that's what I wanted. Number 5, it probably won't get a lot of people, but that's fine. It was a thing for me. I like to decorate. I like to have a space that I'm comfortable in, and I'm very creative. So me being able to paint a wall, me being able to hang up pictures with nails like I really want to, and put up some wallpaper or do whatever it is I want to do. I couldn't do that there. I could not do that there. And that was a thing for me. Like, I didn't ever feel comfortable. It was just white walls, can't hang so many pictures. I'm not getting my security deposit back. Like, it was a lot. And that was probably number 5 to let me know, hey, baby, it's time to look in home ownership, because this life right here is not for you. If it is for you, then go ahead and do that. It's not for me. I need ownership. I need something I can own. So I was like, okay, bet, I know what I need to do. I need to own a house. Obvious, right? But how do I do that? Like, what are the first steps into figuring out what I need to do to get me into a house? Like, from point A to point B, what's going to get me there? So then I started looking into those things. So first thing I looked into was income. Okay. Now let me say this. Okay. I might need to get a little closer when I say this. You'd be surprised. Okay. Income is needed to have or purchase a house. You need some form of steady income. You need a job, baby. You need a job. You need a job. You need a job. You'd be surprised how many people come in and do not have a source of income coming in at all. You can't buy a house like that. It's just like step 1, step 2. That's what it is. Like, you need a job. You need some form of income. Now, let me say this too. If you have, and this is why I said income, if you have like Social Security coming in, you have benefits from the service coming in, you have child support, you got whatever type of income coming in, that could be substituted for a job. But if you don't, most of us do not have that, you're going to need a job. Okay, you need a job for at least about 2 years of W-2s, pay stubs, check stubs, all of that, to show that you have a job where you can pay the banks their money back on this loan that you're asking for about a house. Just want to state that. So I was like, okay, cool. Check. I have a job. Good to go. What's number 2? credit score. Ooh, y'all are real uncomfortable in your seat right now, aren't you? I was too. I was too. Let me tell you, I didn't know much about credit. I didn't know what my credit score was. Had never looked at it. Didn't know what it was. Didn't know what it should be. None of that. I was not sure. I didn't know what good, bad, ugly. I didn't know what none of that was. But what I did learn, I started to do a little research. I'm going to save you a little bit of time. A lot of times, your credit can be fixed through something so simple as getting a credit card. Now, let me say this, right? Always growing up, my mom would tell me, and now I could be like, Ma, you wrong, Ma, you wrong. No, let me stop. But for real, she would always say, never get a credit card. Do not get a credit card. It will get you caught up in some mess. You will be in debt, so on and so forth. But if you know how to manage your credit card, it won't get you into debt. It won't get you. It's not there to do that. It's there to help you. And it's there to help you build your credit. And ultimately, that's the only thing that you need it for. So don't go crazy when you get this credit card. Use it for simple stuff. I have a lender that I use all the time. I had a conversation with her and she said something that's been in my mind ever since about credit and getting a credit card. She said that a lot of times people use credit cards to buy things that they can't afford, right? She said, only buy stuff that you can afford. That way, when the bill comes at the end of the month, you can pay it off. Something simple. And I was like, that's crazy, because a lot of people go out and just buy crazy stuff and blow their money on their credit card and then they can't pay for it. And that's always what I thought credit cards were for. Not so. So what I will say, buy stuff, little stuff that you do on a regular basis. I know some people buy gas with it. They just do their gas. Gas kind of pricey now, so if you can't afford it, don't do it. But if you can, something simple like gas, right? What I did, got a credit card. I bought, what did I buy? I put my Apple Music up there. I put my Apple Music on there, and like Netflix, my Netflix account, I linked it to that because I knew those were small bills that were going to pull out consecutively, that I knew that I could afford, that I could go ahead and pull out and pay for at the end of the month. That wasn't going to cost me a rack. That was what I did. Something so simple, and I remember, and I put an alarm in my phone to remember to pay it off at the end of the month. When it's a small bill like that, sometimes you can tend to forget it. You can't afford to forget that, especially if you're building your credit to buy a house. That is not something that you forget. Okay? Don't forget that. So little stuff. Start off little like that. The next thing I will say, number 3, would be your savings. Okay? This one makes people uncomfortable as well. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about your money. So, have a little bread saved up, please, before you buy a house. No, you don't need $50,000. It's good if you have it. Absolutely. The more money, the better. But if you don't have it, you need to have a little saved. Now, there are certain programs out there where they will pay for your closing costs, which are the money that you pay at the end of the transaction. Some people will pay for your upfront money that you have, that you pay, your down payment that you pay in order to purchase a house or due diligence. Some people will pay for that, right? There's certain programs out there, but a lot of times they pay one or the other. If you can find a program like that, they're not going to pay for both. So you're going to need some money from somewhere to resort to for due diligence money, to pay for closing costs at the end, whatever it is, you're going to need some money. Have some money saved. I'm not going to tell you how much money you need. It depends on your market. It depends on a lot of different things. But you're going to have to bring something to the table. There's a lot of costs that come into buying a house. Find yourself a good lender that does tack on free closing costs, or if you're using a builder, if that's an incentive that they have on free closing costs, use that to your advantage, especially if you don't have that much saved up. I had a little bread saved up, so then I was able to do that, and it wasn't like a big stretch for me, so I was very grateful for that. Anyway, and then lastly, number 4, what I would say, because I am biased, I'm telling you now, I'm biased. Get yourself an agent. Get yourself an agent. You need an agent. We've talked about this before. I've explained it before. You need an agent. They're going to walk you through the steps that you need to get where you're trying to go, whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. They're going to help you. These are the type of things that they want to know. They want to know, the reasons for you moving. I listed out all of my reasons, right? My agent, I told her, hey, I don't like people complaining about me playing the TV or music too loud. I don't like my neighbors running above me at night. I don't like not coming home and having nowhere to park. I don't like having to take the trash to the dumpster all the way on the other side of the building. Those were things. So in the house that she helped me find, we made sure those things were focused on. This house right here, you show me a house, I don't really like that house because this reminds me of my apartment. And that is not what I want. That is not what I'm asking for. And it just helps. They can kind of weed out a lot of excess stuff. They can guide you and get you to home ownership quicker. They know way more where we are, taught on a regular basis. Y'all don't even understand how many classes we have to take or how hard it is to even pass the test. We got a lot of information in here that we are wanting to share. It is needed. And what I will say, let me put this little disclaimer in here right now. A lot of people that are buying houses, their thought is, especially when it comes to money, and we just talk about saving and all that, they're like, I can't afford a realtor. Okay? Let me tell you something. If you're buying a house, you don't pay the realtor. You don't pay us. We get paid by the person selling the house. So we are a free cost to you. Don't worry about it. It's not on you. You're going to slide a check across the table and you're going to pass it to them. So you can't afford us. So do not let that be the reason that you don't buy a house. Now, once you get into that house, home ownership, and then you get ready to sell it, then you're going to pay us. We're going to get paid. We're going to get paid regardless. But we are definitely of importance. You're definitely going to need us. We want to get you into home ownership by any means necessary. And we have the tools, and together, us and you working together, we can get you there. I know in, in Genesis 1:26, it says we are supposed to have dominion over the world. That's where God put us here. Listen, dominion is ownership of any magnitude. You're supposed to have ownership over something. That's what we're doing. You need that. We're going to get you to that. Ownership of any magnitude is what we're elevating towards. So by any means necessary, that's what we're going to do. That's why I keep coming every week with more information to get you into a home. So if you see something you like here, like, share, comment, give me reviews, listen to the podcast on any listening platforms. Pass it off to whoever needs to hear this. A lot of people need to hear this. Share it, okay? Remember that I am a realtor. I can get you into a house. If you live in North Carolina area, feel free to hit me up. I've got you. Follow me on social media at Homegirl Handbook. I got you, okay? Until next time, guys. Bye.